Hello, everyone, and sorry we are delayed by 3 minutes. We ran into some technical glitch today evening. I think our software was overwhelmed by the guest we have today. So, without much ado, I'm going to cut the gibberish short and introduce to you someone who's a very, very old friend of mine. He's not so old, but a very old friend for about 23 years now. We went to college together. We studied together. We did a lot of fun things together. And 23 years later, where we started and where we are two very, very different places. Without much ado, here is Gulshan Devaiah, the actor to some of us, a lot more than the actor. So here is Gulshan for you, and we're going to speak to him about his last 23 years or more. And so here we begin.
Hello. Hi, I'm here. So we did a lot of things together. And one of those things that we did together is that we drank chai without any adrak in
Yeah.
it. Because we hate adrak wali chai. And we like our tea with milk and water and chai patti and sugar. And that's how we like it.
No, yours has milk, mine doesn't.
Oh, yours is black, is it? Yeah. I like my builders, yeah. Now I'm having water right now in a wine glass.
Very nice. So,
Mm.
we have
Classic.
made people wait, and I'm really glad we are talking after not so long a time again. But
Yeah.
yes,
It's
this is
a, I
this.
mean, we've started chatting with each other quite regularly now since the past few months, I think. Ever since the lockdown started, we've started doing
Yes.
Zoom chats and catching up with old batchmates, classmates, and all that. So it's been really nice to sort of catch up with all of you and see and to get to know what all of you are doing right now in your lives. So it's really nice. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And a
So
hell of an experience we had the 3 years that we spent together in NIFT, sharpening our tools. Yeah, it was a hell of a ride.
yeah. So that's. Let's begin at the beginning.
Yeah.
Why NIF? What happened? Was it a long cherished dream? Was it an accident?
Oh
Like
no,
for
not at
so
all.
many, it was, or was it more than that?
No, it wasn't a long cherished dream. In fact, I mean, I always wanted to be an actor in the Hindi film industry, and it's just that systematically I lost interest in studies, and when I did my, I just didn't have the good enough grades to sort of go in any other field, and that's a blessing in disguise. That's really one of the best things that ever happened to me because I was so confused and I was unable to decide, and sometimes fate intervenes,
Yeah.
some kind of divine power intervenes, and you fail your exams, and then you take the supplementary exam, and the grades are just not good enough. So a lot of the people who I studied with in Bangalore, they all, went the engineering and medical and some, those kind of professional courses, and so it was actually a friend's cousin who was in Tanishq who kind of realized my predicament, and he came to know that I was quite good. I had some skills, like I could draw and paint, and I was like always pretty good at that in class while I was in school because my friend told him so. And my friend also, he was also good at it, Vijay. So he suggested the two of us get into design, and I was like, okay, but how does one do that? So he said, okay, I'll give you a basic thing. There is NIFT if you want to get into fashion, and there is NID if you want to get into any other kind of design. So I said, okay, I was interested in both. And वो ज़माने में क्या होता था कि न्यूज़पेपर में इश्तिहार छपती थी,
Correct.
वेबसाइट कुछ नहीं था. I'm talking about 96. So 1996. So I missed the NID wala form I missed.
You're so last
So
century, man.
हाँ, तो Deccan Herald पे NIFT का form छपा हुआ था, उसको मैंने काट के फिर I filled it. My friend didn't end up doing that. He ended up being an engineer and not pursuing, a career in the creative arts. But I didn't know anything about design and fashion, and it was such a happy accident, I must say, because it really uh, empowered me and it really gave me the confidence. I was very underconfident growing up, particularly in my teenage years. I was very naive and underconfident. But when I saw that I could do something now with my hands. I was always good at making things with my hands, and I put that into practice, and I sharpened those skills, and I learned about design, about fashion, about clothes. I had no idea. I started from zero. I used to just, and one of the first times I actually looked at a fashion magazine was, I'm sure you can relate to it because we never really
I started
perceived
minus
that
five.
पता ही नहीं था कि ऐसा भी कोई career हो सकता है,
Yeah.
बिल्कुल पता नहीं था. So it was a happy accident, and I'm really glad that it was a turning point in my life. Like one of the most important things that ever happened in my life was me failing my exams, not having good grades, and actually being selected to NIFT and doing that 3-year course.
Yeah, but NIFT is not so easy a selection. I mean, trust me.
Not at all. And I'll tell you another story. Let me show off a little bit. I'm one of the very few people. I know only one other person. The other person I will refer to as Mad Max. Me
Yeah.
and Mad Max are probably the only two people who have cleared the entrance twice.
In our batch for sure, yeah.
Even overall also, I don't know many people like who actually joined. So I was in Chennai already doing a course. जब Bangalore का center खोला था उन्होंने,
yeah.
I applied. We both applied for a transfer, but we didn't get a transfer. So then we just wrote the entrance again and we cleared the entrance again.
So did they let you in at the interview?
Yeah, I think Bani Jha, she was there. Remember Bani Jha? I think she caught me. He's like, तेरे को कहीं देखा है? I'm like, ma'am, please, मैं घर जाना चाहता हूँ Bangalore. मम्मी बहुत बीमार है and all that. Yeah.
So which phase of NIFT was most fun?
I think all the semesters were fun except the last semester. The last semester was not fun because I think we all a lot of people really turned into grade A assholes during the last semester. Yeah, but it's also like it's like Big Boss. Everybody is thrown into this environment. After a point, everybody's getting on everybody's nerves and all that. Yeah. I think the first semester was quite easy for me. I kind of breezed through it because I had already done 3 months of it in Chennai. जो तुम लोगों को वो experience नहीं था, so I'd already done all that. Me and Mad Max, we were like that. So I think we had a bit of a attitude and a superiority complex or something. But I think all the semesters were fun because it was the first time I was like experiencing a kind of freedom to express myself. When I was discovering things about myself, about fashion, how to express myself. So I was sort of beginning to understand who I was and what I could do. Because I really didn't know what I was going to do. And I think that kind of affected my family also around me. Like my dad and mom, they really didn't know. They were very concerned with me. So I started really enjoying this because I really liked making things and, drawing and painting and being creative and making clothes. I really, really, really enjoyed making clothes. So I had a lot of fun, like until the last semester. The last semester, then I think, I didn't have much fun. Like just like overall, like hanging out with all my classmates and all that was not fun.
What was most fun for the rest of us?
Yeah.
All the borders.
Yeah, you're the border.
Most fun for all the borders was actually you on the backseat of Mad Max's.
Yeah, Mad Max. Yeah. There is
Mad Max's hero Harley Davidson Coke, right?
That traffic cop is still looking for him. The traffic cop is still looking for him. And his hero Coke की वो बंदा है ना जो hero Coke चला था वो किधर है? वो retire हो गया cop, लेकिन अभी भी आता है वहाँ पे चौराहे पे, and he looks for on Cunningham Road, that junction, where Chandrika Hotel is. So he still looks for.
पूरी दुनिया में एक ही आदमी है जिसने हीरो बुक को शायद 100 की स्पीड पे चलाया होगा.
शायद उससे भी थोड़ा ऊपर किया होगा उसने. Must be some kind of a world record.
So basically coming to the critical facets of the design education, really, and this is important. Yeah, I mean, I dress and posh and all educated.
Yeah.
So, but reality is that you moved, you graduated. And I think you graduated so beautifully. I mean,
I won like all the big awards.
All the big awards. You won money.
Surprisingly, nobody expected me to win, but then I did.
Yeah, and your collection was.
Thank you.
We'll keep that off air, but
execution civilized style. That's what it was.
Yeah. And what was very interesting was that your collection went in a direction which is very, very different from what you were, right? And then you carried on design for a few years after that, and then you moved on to a career which is creative, yet it's it's very, very different from what you typically think of fashion designers doing, right? So if fashion designers are seen in movies as an industry, they're typically seen as people doing costume
It's a
stylists.
different industry. Like
Yeah,
I moved
so it's,
industry.
you've completely switched over to something else. Uh, at this point in time, when you look back over those 3 years, 97 to 2000, what are the most critical elements of those 3 years that you still carry forward if you do carry anything?
The design education, as in the understanding of aesthetics, and I could really, I didn't really have any exposure to any of the arts, like apart from dramatics and a little bit in music because my parents were interested in that. I
Hmm.
really understood a lot of things about art. It really exposed me to, like, looking at paintings and trying to understand them, or, like, feel something from them, to sculpture, to pottery, to crafts, different crafts. It really educated me, it opened up my mind. Like I was really, it was like Alice in Wonderland for me without the acid trip. So, just just plain old tea, without any other.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not gonna probe much.
yeah, no,
Right?
no, it's okay. No, it's okay. It was really fascinating. I was really, I think I grew up in a very insulated sort of an environment where I didn't really know what existed beyond.
Hmm.
And for me, it was like a completely different world, and everything came rushing to me and all that. So I gradually started finding my artistic expression. And also it gave me confidence because and that's really important, because when you do a little better in something, then that gives you confidence, and that gives you the motivation to keep doing something, keep doing that a little more, because you keep getting better.
Yeah.
So in small increments. So I was having that. I the whole understanding of design and aesthetics, which really, like, later when I transitioned from being a professional designer to an amateur theater actor, I could really understand a lot of things about acting and theater and stagecraft, because I had my basics were pretty sound in design, and I was also teaching for about 3 or 4 years. I was teaching design,
Yeah.
and about 2 years full time, and then about 2 years half part time. So my basics in design were very strong, and even unconsciously you start, like, looking at things a little different and understanding things a little better. So those 3 years of design education were absolutely valuable. Apart from the philosophical thing that it was a great confidence builder, it really made me more confident of myself, that I can on my own do things, I can achieve things on my own, because I didn't know what I was going to do. So two actually giving me the confidence to pursue my dreams, which was to be a professional actor, which is what I dreamt of since I was like 8, 9 years old, perhaps, maybe even before that. So exposure to art, looking at things, understanding things, because we had that. You're also trained when you're in design to look at things, to deconstruct, to decode, to research, you know to research things. Like, you don't know something, you find out how to do it, or you have a certain, you want to make something a certain way, you have no idea, so you solve that problem.
Hmm.
So that ability, and also it's a visual medium, it's a very visual medium, and I also currently work in a very visual medium. So a lot of the understandings can consciously, unconsciously translate. It just gives you a better understanding of stuff. You're not like clueless about frames, and about color, about blocking, about the camera angles, about lighting. All those things make
Uh,
perfect sense to me.
Sorry, does this happen at the set that you really run in and you start doing costumes and say, "Hey, this is not working." Do you
No.
run and do someone else's job ever?
I do it as a joke sometimes, just to, like, throw them off, because they're very surprised. Like, how does he know, certain terms and stuff like that. Like, if I say, the yoke and armhole and stuff like some technical terms sometimes, when you use, like, I would say dress pants instead of formal trousers. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we've never heard anybody use that, like, dress pants. Like, I was like, yeah, I went to fashion school. Things like that. Look, I know what's a brogue, a half brogue, a semi brogue.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes even the people who are styling me, they don't understand all such things. So it's kind of like, fun to just, like, play with them a little bit. But I don't really interfere. Like, when I was doing theater, I did do costumes for certain plays that I was involved in, and I was not involved in also. I used to help out during amateur theater, because it's group theater. Everybody pitches in and does what, their own bit. And at that point of time, I was actively working in the fashion business, in the design business.
Yeah.
So I was still designing, I was making things. But once I retired myself from design and I started focusing on my acting craft. I think the focus remained on that. It didn't really waver from that. So I don't really, I do miss it. I do miss, making clothes, but I don't particularly involve myself in the costume. I only use it as part of my work, and it's also great to sort of work with another creative person and collaborate with them. But I don't interfere.
On a lighter note, thank God you're not making clothes, because last time you made clothes, seriously, people couldn't even walk in them, and you walked away with
Yeah,
not
it
the
was
certificate
it
and
was
the award.
purposefully restrictive. Like I had blades and yeah, it was very avant-garde, and the point of it was also that it was really inspired from something, and it really I wanted it to be shocking and it to sort of have that feeling,
Yeah.
like make people very uncomfortable. And it was not meant to be practical clothes. It was meant to
Yeah.
be an artistic expression.
Yep. And and that got its due, and that got its.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I
And
didn't really expect that I was going to win like best design collection for all centers. So I was like, but then they didn't give me a trophy. Yeah, they just gave me a check. It was like a pretty sizable check.
yeah,
But
but
I'm winning best design collection in Delhi, which means that all centers, all the winners from all centers go. This is I still can't get over this. Okay, I must get it off my chest. Like NIFT calls all the winners from all centers and they
yeah,
put them together and you showcase your entire collection again. I was there on my own. None of you guys were there. And I'm just showcasing my collection and I win there also. I went best design collection. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And no trophy. Like so many of the others who won, like, some, sorry, like, I will
best construction
I
and
will
all
quote
that.
I will quote a popular actress in the way she refers to certain people. Chote mote awards. So there are some chote mote awards. They got trophies. साला मैं best design collection जीता मैं. मेरे को trophy नहीं मिली यार.
ये तेरे को पैसा मिला, you should be happy.
Yeah, but then
और
like you should have trophy also ना. फिर पता कैसे चलेगा किसी को घर पे आएंगे तो वो trophy दिखना चाहिए ना.
तुझे खरीद लेना था, इतने पैसे तो मिले थे.
अरे नहीं वो पैसों से मैंने खरीदी बाइक.
हाँ, that you did.
हाँ, बजाज की बाइक खरीदी मैंने 10 साल चलाई बजाज की बाइक. Caliber 125 cc. Actually no, 110.
So
बहुत middle class, yeah.
yeah, I know, but that's still better than you having a bike and many of us still scrambling around for nothing. But tell me something. How did the I mean, tell us a few stories. Give us the gossip. How did the transition really happen? I mean, did theater fall in your lap, or you had to struggle?
Like that.
You're open. You can talk about the casting.
There's no gossip or anything like that. I just heard from somebody that somebody was casting for a play.
Okay.
And this woman I was working with I was teaching design at Wigan and Lee College, so she was my boss. She was Reena, her name was. I think she's with Uniqlo now. Yeah. So so then she told me, like, I heard somebody's casting for a play. You're interested in acting, right? She's like, I was like, how did she figure? I might have casually mentioned it to her. So I went for the auditions. I got the part. I was hired, and that was the beginning of my career as an amateur theater actor. Unfortunately, the play I rehearsed for never really had a showing. But the interesting piece of trivia is that the name of the play was called Net Game, and one of the actors in that play went on to make a movie with me later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, purely by accident. But then I let people, whoever are listeners, I let people figure it out as to who that was. Me and this other actor were acting together in a play called Net Game, which never really, we did rehearsals, but we never performed it for an audience. Later in life, the both of us made a movie together. He made a movie with me. He directed me in a movie. So, la 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 trivia.
Okay, so if anyone,
that's how it started. So there's no gossip.
Anyone who gets that answer right, please write back on our YouTube chat, and we'll pick. And Gulshan's gonna call out your name. And
no, I'm not going to call out for my name. I will give them the opportunity to pay for my nose correcting surgery. I have a crooked nose. I want to correct it, but it costs a lot of money. Actually, it doesn't. But then I'm not willing. I'm very cheap. I don't want to pay for it because I'm middle class. I used to drive Bajaj Caliber. So whoever gets this answer, the first one, I will give you the opportunity to spend money for my corrective surgery. Yeah.
Okay, I just got told that 5-7 people logged off to YouTube. So yeah, uh, so so what happened? So you decided to do theater, and you went on that route,
Yeah.
and then one fine day, all of us got to know that you moved to Bombay,
Yeah. I was going to that.
and some funny stories happened in Bombay. So tell us about that. Tell us about the phase
So
when, on a
the
serious
phase,
note. Yeah.
I wasn't able to move. In fact, I was really comfortable in a way. I thought I was comfortable doing my amateur theater and all that because I was learning. Because I had very little. I had my design education, but I didn't really have any education in theater, in dramatics, or in acting. So doing theater and working with certain directors really gave me the opportunity to learn. And also, I wanted to learn. Like when I was on stage, I really wanted to how should I stand? How should I move? Why am I saying this line? How should I feel? And all those things, I had a lot of questions, and I would really try. I would look at other actors sometimes, and if I found certain choices that they made that were interesting, I would come and try them in rehearsal if I had an opportunity to do so. So one such actor was Irfan. Irfan had a great influence on me because I kind of tried out some Irfan styles when I was doing theater. I wouldn't really mimic him, but then certain choices that he made to sort of which meant something, certain gestures, I would come and try that in rehearsals, and it started to work. So that's how I was learning acting in a way by looking at other actors and kind of imitating them. So I thought I was really comfortable because I was working, I was living at home. I really didn't have to pay for anything at home. My parents were quite self-sufficient. So I was making money. I mean, I could make how much ever money I wanted, but I was lazy. I wasn't really realizing my full potential. But I had good clients. I was doing theater, and I was, gradually settling down. But somewhere I think I had to make the transition because I wasn't happy because I always wanted to be a professional actor in the Hindi film industry. That was my dream since I was yay high. So I had to realize that I just didn't have the courage. So inspiration came in the source of one of my colleagues with whom I used to teach at Viganandi College. So his name is Padmanabh Rao. He used to teach computer graphics, as in the application. He was not a designer. He just taught people how to use the software for the graphic design department and the fashion department.
Mhm.
So he once told me, and we were very friendly. We used to hang out. He was a bit older to me. Uh, he had like a daughter and a wife and like a mother and father and like his. So they had a family to run and all that. And we weren't really making a lot of money at that point in time teaching. It wasn't a very well-paid job. So he told me that he wanted to be a news camera person. I found that really, people want to be cricket players and movie stars, but news camera person, that's the first. I've never really heard of that. But I didn't say anything, and he took me along once to meet somebody who was giving, doing a course on like how to use a camera and all that. So I kind of went with him and I gave him some moral support. And today he is a news camera person. He's a news correspondent. Okay.
Ah.
And this had happened already in 2006. He had transitioned from being a guy who was teaching software to a news camera person. And I was like, look at him. He has a lot more risks because he's quitting a job that's paying him money and going into completely changing his field. And he's starting from scratch at his age with, having have to pay for his, child. He had a new child also coming and all those things. I was like, I have none of these things. What is stopping me from pursuing my dreams? I don't have to pay for anything. Whatever money I'm making, if I save, I'll have a nice, safety net to actually pursue my dreams. That was a very key moment for me. I found inspiration in that, and that made me leave everything behind in Bangalore that I was doing. I retired myself indefinitely as a designer, wound up all the projects that I was doing. I finished it. I made some money. Some of them like really made me some money. So I had some confidence that if I do, मैं मुंबई आऊंगा तो मैं धक्के नहीं खाऊंगा, मैं ऐसे ट्रेन में सफर नहीं करूंगा, मैं आराम से टैक्सी वैक्सी में घूमूंगा, एसी में वगैरह.
Cool, क्या
So
बोला?
yeah, so I had kind of planned that from 2006. So by 2008, I had managed to sort of build up my confidence and like a reasonable bank balance to be able to make the move. So that's how it happened, and I didn't particularly struggle or anything like that, because wanted to do this. I never really told anybody to do this, because that was also kind of a calculated strategy, because sometimes people won't understand. When you tell them, like, I'm moving to Bombay to be an actor, uh, they'll be like, oh, and then you get some kind of, even if they don't say it to your face, there'll be some kind of negativity, like, what does this guy think of him, and all those things like that. So nobody ever looked at me and said, like, oh man, you should be in the movies. Nobody's ever said that, except myself. So I kind of avoided having to deal with that negativity. So that was a strategy that I kind of had. So I didn't tell anybody. So which is why a lot of you all didn't know that I was moving to Mumbai.
Yeah.
And a lot of them came to know at the very last moment, or once I had moved, because some people were here, some people were here, some of my batchmates were here. So they got to know that I have moved here. Some of my
Well, I
juniors
got
were.
to know after you moved. I
Yeah.
never knew till you were.
Yeah, some of my juniors, or some of our juniors were also here, so they got to
Yeah.
know that I had moved. And then within about a year and a half, I was working. Like immediately, I was working in theater, because that was my experience. I knew some theater people, so I contacted them, and I started working whatever, like with the play. I couldn't act in the play, but I started lighting the play, which was devastating, because I wanted to be an actor. So every time I was lighting the show, I didn't know how to light a show. I had to learn everything like in like a couple of hours, and then learn how to patch lights and all that. So you improvise, and that's the thing. My understanding of design came in superbly handy, because I understand stagecraft. Lighting. I could design lights. I could design the lights, and I only did it for one play, but I found it quite easy. I only had to learn how to operate the board, because that was alien to me. But apart from that, I already had the aesthetics and the sense of design in
The
place.
ability to see where to really focus.
Yeah. So that's my story in short of the
So
Exodus.
of the Exodus, and then slowly you started
Yeah, then I got a
building up the
job, and
collection.
one job leads to another, and
Yeah.
another job leads to
Yeah.
another job. So it's like that. I started going for auditions. I wouldn't go for every audition. Again, this was a strategy. I wouldn't go things that I wasn't interested in. And a lot of the early auditions were all TV commercials. And I still don't do TV commercials. I've done all of like 4 in my entire life. So I realized that everybody, when I stood in the line over there, कतार में जब लगते हैं वहाँ पे ऑडिशन के लिए बुलाते हैं आपको, या आप खुद ही गए हैं, आपने कतार देखी क्या चल रहा है इस चीज का ऑडिशन, you realize am I suitable for this, and then you stand in line. So after a while everybody started looking alike to me. एक जैसे कपड़े पहनते हैं, एक ही जैसे हेयर स्टाइल्स होते हैं, सबके डोले एब्स, एक तरह के जीन्स पहनते हैं, एक ही टाइप के वो बूट थोड़ा फेमस था, so everybody used to wear the same kind of shoes and all that. They all smell alike, and I just didn't want to lose. I felt that I don't mean it in to demean them, but I didn't want to become one among them. I wanted to still have my originality. I didn't want to lose my sense.
Yeah.
And like over a period of time, you won't realize. You will slowly fade into gray. You will become like how people around you are if you're not conscious about it. So I started getting conscious of that. So then I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go to many of those auditions, and I wouldn't hang out. Many people would call ki yahan pe aao, ye restaurant pe. There are many hangout points. I also live in an area where there are a lot of these addas. So I just refused to go to any of those addas and network and all that, because I was scared that I'll lose my own sense of identity and my uniqueness. So I always had this kida to sort of be a little out of the box or be a little different. And which is why I think many people were surprised with my final collection also, that they didn't really expect that I could have some depth. I
I
come
mean, I
across
know you were the guy who
no,
would
I'm
do
very I'm
WWE
very
fights
relaxed.
at the college.
Yeah, relaxed and happy-go-lucky guy. But I am capable of. I am surprisingly. I do have a lot of
Yes, when you want to,
depth in me. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we saw it again in Death in the Gunj, the way you played that character, and I think
yeah.
it was.
It's set a certain tone, for my career. Like the versatility and the ability to sort of do something that people don't expect. It's great also, but I also suffer from it, because a lot of people, like filmmakers and directors, they don't know. I feel they don't know what to do with me, because they see me a certain way, but then I'm like, no, I've already done that. I don't want to do this now. I want to try something else. So it's good and it's bad, and it's taking me a bit of time to sort of slowly, kind of build a career for myself. as opposed to other people who are far more successful at building their careers because they don't have my problem. They don't mind doing the same thing or like being slotted as because हर चीज की एक पैकेजिंग होती है ना, तो easily you will fit into a certain packaging. तो मेरे इर्द गिर्द कोई पैकेजिंग ही नहीं, मैं लगाने नहीं देता हूँ. So I'm like, I want to package myself newly every time. So that does have its pitfalls.
Yeah. So, which one out of all the characters, whether it was the character in Sanjay Leela Bansali's uh, गोलियों की रास्ते में
रामलीला, रामलीला बोल सकते हो, वो सब इतना सब politically correct होने की जरूरत नहीं है.
or was it that character in That Girl in Yellow Boots? Was it Death in the Guns? Was it Hit Story? Was it Commando 3? Which is the one which is like,
I can't pick one over the other because they're all like experiences to me, like that I really cherished. I really can't pick one or the other. But the first time is always fun. Like doing being on Anurag Kashyap's set, and when I was doing That Girl in Yellow Boots, I was one of the last people to be cast in that film. A lot of my friends were already in it and all that. So by now, me and Kalki were also very good friends, and Anurag knew me quite well. Mm-hmm. So when he auditioned me and then he gave me the part, a lot of his people who were working for him, his assistants, were not really happy with my casting because it was meant to be an older person. So मैंने दाढ़ी वाड़ी उगाई थी. I tried to look as old as I could. I was around 30 at that point of time. But but when I was on set the first day and I started performing, I could see the environment around me change, the energy around me. There are people who didn't really give me any notice. They started to pay attention to what I was doing. And that was really great because I had really almost not slept the 2 days before my first day, really running those scenes over and over again. I'm very I'm very process oriented. So process is more important than what finally happens for me. Like if you do the process correctly and if you really enjoy the process, then the end result will always be something interesting. Yeah. So when I was doing that and I could see them sort of after the first take that suddenly everybody is paying attention to what I'm doing. So that feeling is really special because when you feel something like that for the first time, it's always really special. So I would say that feeling, because of that part, that feeling is really unique because that's a virgin feeling. Okay. Yeah, but I can't really pick one over the other. It's very, and I've really tried to also, tried as much as I can to do things differently. I've tried.
Yeah, but if you ask me honestly, That Girl in Yellow Boots was probably the most seamless character that I could have imagined for you. I mean, I could just see you.
It was also
when I saw you, it didn't feel like you were, ye Gulshan hai ki nahi hai? It was not
no,
the
but it's funny, but you should say that because it actually was not as difficult for me because I was given the freedom to say, like, you're from Karnataka. So do something that's very, like, in that flavor. Like, give me a character from where you are. Yeah. So it came very, I'm not easy as an essay, James and Nigal diya, but I had all the references already because I had spent 30 years of my life in that city. And I grew up, like, in the suburbs, and I had seen a lot of these kind of ruffians that I ended up playing. Yeah. So it was actually easy for me. It was actually easy for me. And like, I got to improvise in a language that I'd studied in. So, which is Kannada. So it wasn't really that difficult. But in spite of that, if you think that, I looked very different to how you knew me, then that's good, which means I must be good.
Yes, it was good. And, coming to your point of really using your Karnataka lineage, you used it a lot in college as well. And we all know about it. Whether the hostel staff being confused about you being a NIFT student or a NIFT staffer really, and Salam Saab, all of that. So that's a side. Coming to another conversation, and this is a very, very interesting part that's coming in at a point in time, right after discussing your character of That Girl in Yellow Boots, is the conversation you and I were having a few days back, which was about Zakir, which was about
Zakir Khan. Yeah.
Zakir Khan, or
I really like him. Yeah.
So that entire, I really want you to share with everyone that entire thing that you shared, which was very nice, which was beautiful. That there is this product, And I'm just making it in a generalist kind of statement, not to take the daylights out of what you are going to share. But there is product, and then there is experience, and two people can deliver equally a good product,
Yeah.
but
So
there's
let
one
me
of
let
them
me
is
have another
better.
go at it. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when we were discussing the other day, I said that there are people who tell you jokes, and there are people whose jokes transcend into art.
yeah,
So that those are the two kinds of comedians, like stand-up comedy. So
yeah,
I feel Zakir belongs to the latter, where he's not just telling you jokes. It moves way beyond just him making you laugh. It's an experience. It enriches your life. It makes you think. It's art. It's a proper art form, as opposed to somebody who just says funny jokes or chutkulas. You laugh at it. You really laugh hard, and your stomach hurts or something like that, and then that's it. You'll probably remember the joke, but the joke is not. It doesn't do anything else to you apart from distract you for a moment or something. So he's a real artist. So people like him are really artists, and I really relate to that because that's what I think my intention is to do also with my craft. Like, I know that actors are referred to as artists, but I wouldn't want to refer to myself as an artist. I'm a craftsman. My craft becomes art from the way it's perceived. So I think that is more important for me, and that is why I really like somebody like him. And there are many others like that. I mean, he just happened, like, I happened to be acquainted with him like really quite recently, and the whole country also has come to love him quite recently, and he's really done very well for himself. But I can see the storytelling. It's not just jokes. He's not just telling you jokes. It's way beyond that. Sometimes people don't really understand it. It's proper theater. It's a proper art form. That's what I was discussing with you.
yeah. So that's quite like
We can see how we can, like, how we can apply that. I mean, can we apply this principle in what we are doing?
yeah,
I
and
can. But then the question remains to be seen, that a lot of people listening to us talk about this right now, how would they kind of see if this is applicable to them?
yeah, at a very large scale, this is very similar to an example of Virgil Abloh, and we spoke about.
Yeah, yeah. I love Virgil.
Yeah. So
He
how
just
how
took, yeah, yeah, he took streetwear and he made it high fashion, bro. Like, it's just like really insane. Like, the kind, I was a bit skeptical about him. I'm a bit of a sneakerhead, so that's how I came in. I came to know of him, and I saw some of his stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is really good. And then he started collaborating with artists. See, he's not a very skilled person. He doesn't have very great skills as an artist. Some artists or sculptors, or people who can fold paper and things like that, they have great skill. So Virgil is not a very skilled person, but he's very creative. So he really puts himself in a space where he's collaborating with somebody who's highly skilled.
yeah.
And you have to match them. You can't match them at skill. So it's that collaborative level, what you do together. And it's really, some really interesting, sometimes really inane stuff, but so interesting. And it's again, he took like a t-shirt print and made it art, like that you can wear and you can walk around on the street. It's just,
Yeah, sometimes you get the flack for it, that you're selling it
yeah,
too expensive.
yeah.
But the reality is that how many people who were actually graphic artists go on to become the creative directors for
Of Louis Vuitton menswear, yeah, and he has this. He started working with Kanye West, and he made album covers for him and things like
yeah,
that. And he's a proper brand right now, and he's transformed the Louis Vuitton menswear thing. And which was a dream of his, by the way. Apparently, he used to dream that he's one day going to design for Louis Vuitton.
yeah,
So
wow,
yeah, and he completely deconstructed Nike shoes, and they're very coveted among sneakerheads. The kind of work that he does, and it's really, and at a point, I was quite skeptical कि और कितना करेगा, मतलब ये एक दो season, तीन season ये flavor हो गया. How much can you do? But then he still manages to surprise you. He still manages to put out collections over there, which is really kind of like, beautiful and eye-popping without losing its soul, which is streetwear. It's just still so much about street culture. Of course, he's American, he's Black American, that's why he's grown up. So you see a lot of those cultural influences and hip-hop in the work that he does. But he took something that's so simple, so innate. Nobody even pays attention to, like, a t-shirt or a hoodie. And he's made that into a high fashion product.
yeah.
It's
So
really, it's so good. It's So there
I
is
mean,
nothing can stop you if you want to do something. If you're sincere about it, nothing can really stop you from making a product that everybody wants to buy.
yeah, I think he just went and did his thing in a way that nobody ever imagined streetwear to be. And
Yeah.
so, here's a question from the audience, and I'm bringing it in a little early, which is very very interesting. Sunil Dutt Sharma asks, who are Gullu's current favorite fashion designers, both upcoming and known apart from Virgil? He's too mainstream now, according to him. So who are the
No,
other?
I really don't know actually because I've not been really following any that much. I do get invited to fashion weeks, but I'm not so well versed at I'm not really keeping my eye on the collections and what people are doing because I'm not in that field. And I also consciously do it because I miss it. It really makes me emotional sometimes. So I kind of keep a safe distance from it. So I'm okay with going and making an appearance or during fashion week,
Mhm.
and then coming home and that's it. But then if I start following a lot of fashion, even Virgil's work, when I see, I really feel like, oh man, I miss making clothes. I'm inspired now. Now look at this guy. Look at the stuff that he's making. He's making tables. He's making pens. He's making shoelaces. He's making all sorts of things, and he's collaborating with all sorts of artists. He's making carpets. He's making curtains and installations, and lots of things. Just scribbling stuff. He just takes sharpies and draws on all kinds of things, and so that's really inspiring. I really want to sort of start doing that. So but then that will really affect me with what I am trying to do here
Yep.
as an actor, so I have to sort of not pay attention to that because I don't think at this point of time in my life I can manage both and be dedicated and sincere at both. I don't think so. So I'm kind of focusing on acting. So which is why I don't really know a lot of the designers who are really making some really insane stuff and who are pushing the boundaries. I don't know. Apart from Virgin, whose work I like, and it's inevitable because online, the algorithms keep showing me more Virgin.
Yeah, so that's what your friend is doing, who went on to do engineering, and you came to NIFT. So that's the world now. Uh, so you've been on both boats. You've been on the boat of design, and you've been on the boat of art, and you call yourself a craftsman,
Yeah,
right? And if I were to look at all these three, they're big words. For a very very simplistic answer, I would like you to tell me what are the follies that were that are there across all the three. So the good things we have spoken about, but what are the follies in all the three? You've been on all the three boards. That's why.
oh, or of being what design art and
So design, art, or being a craftsman like you are.
yeah. The folly is that a lot of people get really focused on the end product, like the process. Not so much attention is paid to the process and
Mhm.
to learning, because I also see a lot of people in all the fields, like after a certain point, and it's happened to me also. You sort of sit back and get a little comfortable, and then somewhere the learning becomes a little stagnant.
Mhm.
So the kind of incremental progress that you could have made if you'd kept up the pace, or had that open mind and still be welcoming to learning, then I think a lot of people could have really progressed. But it also matters on what is your goal. If your goal is to make a lot of money, then that's okay. If your goal is innovation, then you will still keep pushing yourself. And this has happened to me also. I've got really complacent, and both as a designer as well as an actor, there have been phases when I got a little complacent, and then I had to shake myself out of it because it made me I came to realize that this is not why I'm doing this. This is not why I'm doing this. I have to get back to who I was and continue from there. So I think a lot of people, this is one of the pitfalls. It really makes you comfortable and you lose focus, and then before you know, you from really being exceptional, you become mediocre, and you start being okay with being mediocre. So that is I am not okay with that. I think people should watch out for that. These are the follies.
So okay, so I get that point. I get that point, and this happens to this keeps happening, and this keeps
Yeah.
you keep fending it off
It
all the
has to
time.
happen, in a way it has to happen. It's good if it happens because it will wake you up. You can realize that, oh, this is happening, so it gets you back on track. So it's always interesting when such things happen.
I think here is something that I can even pull out of here to relate to the current situation that we all are dealing with. Everyone's been sitting at home. Businesses have been through shambles. A lot of people have lost their jobs,
I'm
and
sorry, guys.
many have had undergone pay cuts. There's an entire batch of 2020 which is graduated and struggling to get placed. So there's a lots and lots of pain around. But when I look at this conversation that we've had so far, I see instances of inspiration. I see the fact that we spoke about uh, dodge the fear of unknown and plan for a rainy day, right? When you spoke about the inspiration in your friend at
Yeah, Padmanabh Rao, yes.
Padmanabh Rao, and you said that when he could do it, why can't I? So I think that's a very very critical piece of information that I've taken from the conversation so far, and I think that's very very relevant. So, and here I'll just digress for a second, and
Yeah,
I would like to share with everyone who's watching, and there are lots of students there, as I understand that there's lots that's going on, which is hurting you, which is hurting all of us. But there's lots that's also going on, which is there to support us, which is there to make sure that there's a way forward that opens up for us. So there are lots of senior alumni of NIFT that's working tirelessly behind the scenes, trying to collate a lot of things for you. So there is someone we know is has been counseling every weekend. There's a NIFTA We Care initiative that's being run by some of the senior alumni. NIFT website and every single social handle carries every single job post that we see. So there is opportunities that's being put up. So I think this is the time to also kind of go after every single thing that comes your way. And if we see Gulshan's entire story, while he was in design, he ran after every single opportunity. Even when he moved into theater, he did costume. He moved to Mumbai. He worked out his own way of finding work, and he found work, and he's found a niche for himself. So I think this entire thing is the current situation is not about a pandemic. Current situation is about the fear of unknown, and we are speaking to someone who's I think fought the fear of unknown pretty well over last few years. And I would give this to you, Gulshan, that I think you're one of the few from our batch, or probably NIFT Bangalore, who would have fought the fear of unknown the way you have, because you built up something and then you gave it up midway and then sort of moved on to something else. I moved, but I gave up what I was doing very very early on, 3 4 years, and I came again and moved
but
to.
yeah, a lot of people remain within the industry. A lot of people have changed their job profiles, but
Yes.
to completely change industries is rare. A lot of people have done it. I can't take credit that I'm the only one. I mean, to what you were saying, like I just to kind of sum that up. I think this time is also forcing us to be patient. I think, which is also which can it's a virtue that's worth having. So I think if people are patient, wait this one out, keep sharpening your skills, keep exposing yourself to as much art and culture as possible. Anything like from any kind of fields. So I really like watching a lot of craftsmen, fine craftsmen, particularly really old ones, making things with their hands, like wood carvings or inlay work or hand paintings, and things like that. People from around the world. It can be from anything. So the the love they have for the process is really, they've dedicated their entire lives to that, and which is why it's interesting for me to watch really old people do that. Like some people, like a lot of these Japanese potters are like 85, 89 years old, and they're still making teacups.
Yeah.
There's a certain beauty in just watching them do that, or hammering a piece of iron, heat it, put it back, and making a beautiful knife out of it or jewelry out of it. It's just really fantastic to see these craftspeople at work. and that really inspires you to sort of dedicate your life to your craft. So this is an opportunity for you to kind of find some inspiration there also, to decide that, I'm going to dedicate my life to this. You have an opportunity to slow down and do that.
Hey, you know what? I've got some very interesting questions from our audience.
Shoot.
Some came in a little early, some are coming in now. So the first question that I want to take is something that follows in from our conversation so far. Is the person has written, "Hey Gulshan sir, big fan of you. What was your turning point according to you? I mean, which film do you think changed your direction, and made a mark in industry? Wishing you all good health, big hug, lots of love. What inspired you?"
Um, I think there are तीन पड़ाव है मेरे career में. I can't really say one film or something. There are, like, I think my career kept transitioning. So I think first one definitely Shaitan, because I think in 2011 I had three films come out, and all three of them I was really reviewed very well for them, and they were different. But Shaitan was probably the most prominent one, and the one that I think a lot more people really kind of connected to, like the young people. It was a crazy movie, and many people really liked it, and its music was really offbeat and
Yeah,
all that.
music
So I
was
think Shaitan, that really kind of put the spotlight on me. I think the next was Hunter, because it's probably my most viewed film
yeah,
in terms of pure volume, like both theatrical and post theatrical, everything put together. Because when Hunter released, I had like 18 shows in the first week in one movie hall. That's like, that's a big release. That's huge. That's like major movie stars have like 18, 20 shows a day. So I was like, I couldn't handle it. Yeah. So because that's how it was, that's the confidence that they had. We didn't have a lot of prints, but we had a lot of shows. In the first couple of weeks, it was really running a lot of shows. So Hunter was the next one, important one, and I think most recently March Ko Dard Nahi Hota, because in a way, I think it has also, like, people have seen me play two different characters now. So career-wise, I think these three films are really important for me, if I have to pick three. So it's not just one film that was a transitioning moment. In fact, with every film, I have a revelation. I do learn something or the other. And after a point, after a point, the things that you learn and your improvements are all small. Chota chota. You may make quantum leaps um, with learning something, and then that will be very visible. But after that, it's the finesse. In small increments, you start getting better. I mean, perhaps my career can have a quantum leap moment, but in terms of craft, like ऐसा कुछ suddenly, oh my god, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है, because I think I'm quite experienced now. I've spent about 10 years in the business and all that. So these three, I would say, career-wise, I would say these three are turning points. Craft-wise, I've learned from every film that I've worked on. I've tried. I've got something back.
all right. So going to the next question, and that is a question that's sorry, yeah, that's about acting. What do you suggest a budding actor? How should he or she practice the craft on a daily basis?
You can practice the craft however you want. You can stand in front of the mirror and do it, or you can read books, or like you can watch other actors. Uh, I was telling you about broad strokes. Like, I feel that we were saying that when you're in a design course or something, or in life, if you're inclined towards a design or something, so you
Mhm.
should kind of have a slightly broader perspective, like before you start to specialize in, like, oh, I'm going to do apparel, or I'm going to do only leather, or only outerwear, or like, t-shirt prints or something like that. So it's all, and expose yourself to as many things as possible. You may not become a master or a specialist in all of them, but that knowledge and that exposure is really will enrich you, will support you, and will make you a bit unique in your artistic expression.
Yeah.
So, and it will help you be authentic. So I think you should do that. Secondly, I think craft and career are two different things, particularly when you're coming to the entertainment industry. So a lot of people are perhaps very good in their craft, but you have to know how to craft your career as well. Make decisions that are beneficial for your career, because a lot of people make bad decisions or bad associations, and that can hurt you. So, which I think I didn't have that knowledge, and I had to learn it by experience. But I'm telling you, like, start paying attention to that even before you turn pro.
Okay. Another question that has come in from a designer actually is that how and when, if at all it can be answered, to identify one's real interest in the craft of cinema.
In the craft of cinema,
Yeah.
you have to love cinema. Like I remember going to the movies. I didn't, it didn't care. It didn't matter. Like, initially, whether it was in the movie halls or whether it was on the television screens, I just loved cinema. The whole cinematic world. I just ate it up. Like, I really, that imaginary world. I was fascinated by cinema. Totally fascinated. So when I matured, तो पता चला कि यही करना है मुझे. I wanted to be part of that.
So here is
So,
Abhay asking you a very interesting question.
oh, Abhidev KJ.
Gulu,
Oh,
if you get
he's
a
a
big
batchmate.
break,
He's a batchmate.
yeah, Abhay is our classmate, and I'm hoping he's the same Abhay. If you get a big break in Kannada film industry, would you move out of Bollywood?
I won't move out from anything. Like, the thing is, like, I always see I'm a South Indian. I was born in the South. I'm from Cool. Grew up in Bangalore. I was born in Bangalore, raised in Bangalore, educated in Bangalore. Lived most of my life in Bangalore. Right. So my life now is in Mumbai as part of the entertainment business. But I never really, and I watched all kinds of films in all different languages, almost all of the southern languages, and also Hindi. But for some reason, in my household, we had this fascination for Hindi through its music, because my dad and mom were really fond of Hindi film music. They used to sing and perform that all the time, even now. So I inherited that kind of love for Hindi cinema through the music, and I was more fascinated by Hindi cinema than the other cinemas. So if I do, like, venture out and experiment and work in other industries, that doesn't mean that I will quit in something. I'm really having a lot of fun building my career and practicing my craft in what is commonly referred to as Bollywood now, which is it's a place that doesn't really exist. It's fascinating and it's kind of stupid also.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't exist. Bollywood doesn't exist actually. So there's no place called Bollywood, but that's also why it's fascinating, and that's exactly why it's stupid also. So I will definitely do that at some point of time, and I have discussed it with a few people, or rather, a few people are very interested in me sort of venturing out of this industry and doing things like in the Kannada film industry and all that. But I will not quit one thing over the other. Like, really, I mean, cinema is cinema. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about the language. But since I have this very special love for Hindi films, I'm I'm never going to quit this until I say that I'm done. Like, that will probably be for the entire craft, like, not just Hindi films or over something else. It's not that. And I'm also not in the craft. A lot of people tell me, I will sort of extend this question. Are you're from the South now? Why don't you try Kannada films? I'm like, what is it? Why should I try Kannada films? Why should I try anything? I'm quite comfortable, like, where I am. I'm happy what I'm doing. Okay, I'm unhappy about some things also. But why should I try? Because I'm not here to be famous or like a big star. Like, you can do really well for themselves. Like, okay, fine. You think I'm not doing well here. That's okay. But that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to just to be famous. Then I can go somewhere else. You can be famous as anything. So it's not that it's incidental. Fame and money and all those things are incidental.
So there are a couple of questions which is about I think projects that have been on. So Manu asks, tell us something about Rudraprayag.
Rudraprayag, yeah. Right now, nothing. I can't tell anything because of this coronavirus situation.
And Omkar wants to know the status of Fallen. Status
Hey,
of
Omkar is like one of my ardent followers, Omkar Kulkarni. Thank you, Omkar, for coming. Again, he watches everything. Like, if there is a video of me sleeping for 3 hours, Omkar's gonna watch it.
and he also wants to know if there are any anecdotes of the week sad that you did early in the career.
Of the big side, yeah, I hated it. I hated every moment of it because Anurag directed me in that ad. And I had such a great time working with him on film with That Girl in Yellow Boots. And almost soon after that, I got cast in this ad. And we were shooting in Pondicherry at like 45, 46 degrees. he seemed like a different person altogether. Like really, I just didn't like it at all. And I think that kind of added to my general dislike of doing TV commercials or shorter formats, because I consider it as a shorter format. Acting is quite technical, and you have to be okay with that. But in a TV commercial, it gets really technical because you have like 30 seconds sometimes to tell a story.
Yeah.
So you can't really enjoy a performance in 30 seconds. So you have to hit those marks. And I'm totally okay with that. I'm not dissing people who do ads. I'm not dissing ads. I mean, I do diss certain ads sometimes, but let's not get into that. That's a separate topic. Okay. So, but I don't enjoy it.
You cannot diss an ad I have made.
Everything, the industry stopped over here. People are slowly figuring out how, because that's another part of what Omkar asked about Fallen. That's a series I was working, and I was currently filming that when this whole busted COVID nonsense happened and everybody was sent home. Pardon my Marathi. So, and I'm just waiting for I think right now it's the monsoons, and for Fallen, the monsoon is not a conducive environment to shoot. So I think whenever shooting will resume, it will definitely be after the monsoons, sometime in the winter, and it's also outdoors in Rajasthan. So we'll all have to move an entire unit to Rajasthan under such circumstances. Quarantining and sanitation and all those SOPs have to be put in place. So I'm not really privy to any of that. So I'm just patiently waiting.
Seems far away.
Yeah.
There was another question that we had received, and I think we have about 5 more minutes, and I'm going to try and squeeze in a couple of questions. And one of the question was that Mr. Devaiah, being in movie business, I presume you own a lot of clothes and shoes for public appearance,
Yeah.
etc. Therefore, I guess it would be hard to adopt minimalism in your daily life. However, do you repurpose, recycle, donate your clothes to thrift?
Minimalism, like you see what I'm wearing right now.
I was waiting for this.
I'm wearing like shorts.
Yeah. Okay. No, you don't need to go any.
And clipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the end of the question? Repurpose what?
So do you repurpose, recycle, donate your clothes for thrift? Also, what are your thoughts on unfair wages and exploitation of artisans and laborers in fashion industry in relation to recent crusade against fast fashion brands, sustainable fashion?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I really don't know what's happening much in terms of what are the hot topics being discussed in the garment and apparel or fashion industries, because I'm not really keeping track of that. Because my concern is with what's happening in the entertainment industry, because that's my livelihood. But yeah, fair pay, like it's a correct cause. If there is a exploitation, then that exploitation has to end, and people have to discuss this and come to terms with it and negotiate and find ways to solve problems. Exploitation of any kind is not okay. So going back to the earlier part of the question, I do have lots of clothes which I do repurpose. Sometimes because of my fashion background, I kind of improvise and I repurpose it for myself. But also I give clothes that I don't want to wear. I give it to people who work in my building if they want to wear some of my clothes. Or sometimes certain friends of mine, they if they're the same size as me or something, if they don't mind taking my pair of jeans or shoes that I don't use anymore, then I do that also. I kind of give it to people who want it. Usually, nothing is really thrown away these days unless Nike scratch pads, that my cats really like. Nike makes the best scratch pads in the world. Yeah, and they're expensive. After a point, those scratch pads are not useful. So then you have to you can't really give it to another cat or another person because it's useless, because it's like chindi. So then I have to throw it away. I used to I did consume a lot of fast fashion myself. And I understand why a lot of people consume fast fashions also. I'm still trying to I'm still trying to have my own idea as to whether I'm okay with it or not. And I try and buy local as much as possible. So there are a lot of brands this brand, like yellow, what's it called? Can you see?
Very difficult.
Anyway, there's an Instagram post, man. Damn it! When I really need it, I can't really remember this name. I'm really sorry. I'm just going to probably leave it down as a comments or something like that. It's a brand out of Bangalore, so they make these t-shirt prints. T-shirt prints. I didn't know they were from Bangalore. I just discovered them through Instagram thanks to the algorithm, because I do a lot of online shopping. I found it pretty cool, and I ordered a whole bunch of stuff, and they gave me some free stuff also. So there are a lot. I try and source like stuff from here. But actually, actors wear a lot of rental clothes. Like every time we're making red carpet or like awards functions or like really big functions, we wear rental clothes. Like really, do you think I have enough money to own a Gucci suit? Everybody, the biggest stars, because there are stylists, and a lot of them, the bigger star you are, the more the retainer you pay to a stylist, because monthly you'll have like, say in 30 days, you'll have like 20 appearances to make, and you need 20 different looks. So you pay like 1.5 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, depending on who the stylist is and how much of styling they do for you. So it's all rental clothes that you wear, get it dry cleaned and given back, or sometimes they clean it themselves. I also get a lot of free stuff. Certain designers give us free stuff. Actually, Julin, you remember Jules?
Yeah.
Julin Alvarez. Yeah, so he has a brand, so he makes a lot of stuff out of khadi. So I got some free stuff from him that I got to wear during Fashion Week and also for another event. So you get like a lot of other like things like that. But
we'll send the invoice to Jules for this promotion. Huh?
a lot of people wear rental clothes. I'm telling you. Almost everybody, all those gowns that you see Deepika and Alia or Ranveer, all of Ranveer clothes. But he owns also some clothes. But then we do buy, I do buy clothes all the time. But then sometimes it's really insanely expensive. Like, I'm not going to spend that much money. I try and use my own clothes as much as possible.
Okay, so there is Sunil who's asking you, what is Gullu's preferred personal style?
Right now, really casual, laid back. I know that Mumbai doesn't really have the weather, but like I'm a sneakerhead, so I have a huge sneaker collection. It's not that huge actually, about 150 pairs. I know people who have thousands, but only retail. I don't buy resale. So, like sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies, really relaxed looks. I really like and that sort of is that sneakerhead style also right now. So I'm kind of into that relaxed kind of look. I'm trying my best to look younger. So I wear all young people clothes.
So, I just want to go on to the question which was asked about clothes, and there was your thoughts that were asked about unfair wages. I just want to add a little bit to that. Unfair wages happening in your set of sourcing is something that is it's for each of us to stop. It is not going to stop just because of a law, because every single rule that's created, people will find a way to circumvent it if they really want to. It is for each of us as professionals who are working in fashion as an industry to really take that call and step up our own processes, that we say that I will not work with a factory if they're being unfair to their workers. If there's child labor, I'm not going to work with a factory even if it is cheaper. Most of the brands are getting far more conscious about it than they have ever been in past. And I can tell you that there are enough and more certification bodies that exist in India with their, and these are international bodies, whether it is GOTS, Fair Trade, Higgs Index, hazar things are there, and a lot of you know a lot more about it. Is the reality is that the world is waking up to it. People are making very, very conscious decisions. People are saying that I'm going to source right, I'm going to source ethical. So it's a matter of time that this entire uh, worker abuse is hopefully going to go away. It's something that we'll have to work towards. It's not something that's going to happen from
But
any.
Vivek, I think greed is the grease that runs the system. So the problem is there. Like a lot of people don't realize it, but we are greedy.
Yes,
And
I
so that's when like things really like you don't realize. I mean, it's really as simple as that. Sometimes you just have to like really step out and get that perspective. And this applies to any field. We get too greedy, and usually it's confused for ambition. You always want to do more and more and more and more and more. So I remember a story, very short story. I'm sorry, I'm going to take this time, but it's a very cool story about this little place in Bangalore, in Malleshwaram, that sell idli and vada. It's called Veena Stores. It's a very popular place among the local community over there. So once uh, a very large chain, a mall, offered them space in their mall to open, in all their malls as a franchise. They refused. They didn't want to, and it was a great opportunity for them to sort of expand their business and get that much more visibility. They were very clear. We cannot promise the same quality when we do that. I cannot control it. I'm very happy with my little mom and pop business where I am living. I'm quite happy. It's fascinating, because the people from the mall, or like, certain corporates with certain ideologies where you always want to expand, they will not understand. It's like, what's wrong with this person? Like, we're giving this person to make like 10 times more money than what they're making right now per day, and they're refusing it. That's because they're not greedy. And it's beautiful to be not greedy, but their product is still the best.
Yeah.
So anybody is in Bangalore next time, check out this place called Veena Stores. You can Google it, go there and have their idli vada. It's just outstanding, and you know what I'm talking about.
So that goes on to say that if your product is great,
Yeah,
irrespective of any slowdown, anything, you'll still be able to sort of,
yeah,
you'll find evangelists, you'll find Gulshan Devaiahs who will talk about your idli. And on a serious note, this is also the time for all of us, many of us in the industry, working or waiting to get another job and so on and so forth, is to really sharpen our arsenal, really make that axe so sharp that when you get that opportunity, the work that you put out is so great that people sing songs about it, whether it is
I think innovation. Yeah, I think that word, what you are saying, that I would kind of
yeah.
use that word innovation. I think uh,
So
I don't know, a lot of people, like including yourself, like you studied design, but then you're not really designing. So I'm not. I mean, I don't know the circumstances. I really don't know, so I can't really comment on why that happened. But design is also a very key part of, a very big part of innovation. You
So
really,
I can't agree more with you. When I moved out of design into a career which is very different from design, it was product management and then brand management, sales, marketing, supply chain, all of that. I realized that what the fundamentals of the way you think that you learn when you're studying design is
yeah,
something that applies to most of the things that you do. So
yeah,
it is not that like we were talking the other day, that is design something which is an education just for the sake of creating product, or is design an education which helps you open up some parts of your brain that work differently. Probably the other also holds good.
yeah,
So, I hope that this kind of covers the question that Shashank had, which
yeah,
was about how should we reskill and reinvent in these difficult times. So there is no cookie cutter, there's no one formula. Each of us will have to find our own roots. We'll have to find our own paths and create our stories. So,
yeah. And be patient, and be a little
so
patient, and don't like be in a hurry.
yeah. So I think we started late, but we went into the podcast.
I'm, people who started with me are my age now when I started.
No, I mean
A
that.
lot of my contemporaries, like, are almost slightly older than my age, but I like now that's when I started. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So, I would really like to thank Gulshan for spending your time, your evening with us today, sharing your journey, talking about lots of things. We spared the adrak chai that you it had, but it's okay. We'll
That was
we'll.
just a bait. That was clickbait. Adrak chai was clickbait. By the way, I hate it. I hate adrak chai.
I hate adrak chai
And
myself.
I like adrak in my food, and people try to sell it to you as like, oh, but antioxidant is good for health. Like, yeah, I have enough adrak in my food, so I like good for health. There are many other things also good for health. So
Okay.
I only favor adrak. Like people like adrak chai, you please drink it, but don't force it upon people who don't like adrak chai, and don't judge them for not liking adrak chai. Oh my God, how can you not like adrak chai? It's not. It's really horrible. Like चाय का स्वाद नहीं आता है यार उसमें वो दूध
Chai
और
hai कि
अदरक का
adrak
स्वाद
hai?
आता है मतलब चाय की पत्ती की मतलब खुशबू स्वाद आना चाहिए ना चाय में.
Okay, I think we should leave the adrak chai right here because one of the admins is a big fan of adrak chai and they're gonna stop the broadcast if we went on to
I'm
that.
not scared. I am not scared.
It will be cut, Gulu. Okay, so and this conversation has been great. I've kind of noted down a few points while we were talking, that I want to put out as a summary. And the first thing is education of the kind that we make a choice on is something that we should not just look at a technical education, but we should also see it as something that helps us build confidence. And that's
Yeah,
something that we've heard Gulshan speak.
that's been my experience. Yes.
Yeah. The second thing is career transitions can happen anytime, anywhere. So you've got to stay open, and and not just open, but also have the courage to dodge the fear of unknown.
Yeah, if you
Sometimes
have clarity, as to what you want to do, then yeah, you will
yeah. So there
get
is
the
there
correct
is there's
thoughts
gonna
there.
be a rainy day, but it's okay. You're gonna come out of it, and there'll be sunshine. And the last thing, and the most important one, we never said it in so many words, but everything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Makes
And
it strong.
and we have examples. We have examples in form of the gentleman we've been speaking to for the last hour or so, and a lot of you who have progressed beautifully in your careers. A lot of you in the audience who are stories, who are case studies by themselves on how well you have done for yourselves over the years, and for many of you who are in the making of such big success journeys. I would, at this point in time, also like to sort of remind before we sign off is okay. Sorry, let me just go back and ask if Gulshan would like to add anything more to these 3 points.
Everything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and if you get killed, it's okay. You died trying.
She died. Anyways, it doesn't matter. You're dead.
Yeah, but you died trying. So trying is important. Like
Yeah.
just
Okay.
try.
Okay. So I would urge you, if you haven't already signed up on the NIFTA website, the URL is niftalumni.org,
Can I
niftalumni.org.
run for president?
Yes, we can
I
talk.
know the president is listening in right now. So.
Okay,
Yes,
and
what is the electoral policy like? Are there any like can I buy votes or like kind of fixing
yeah,
that?
Gulshan, let me announce the next one, and then we'll take it offline. Because the president will only tell you that.
This has to be online, bro.
Subscribe to the NIFTA YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon. Uh, okay, and follow us on LinkedIn. Follow
I'm
us
not
on
on LinkedIn.
Facebook.
Oh yeah, for other
Instagram.
people. So it's
Yeah,
I'm being self-reported
we
right
have
now.
we have all these channels available for us to communicate. Every single piece of action that happens within NIFTA, if any of us find anything which is going to be useful for you, it's either on the site or on our social handles. Thank you so much for your time. We've taken slightly longer than an hour that we thought, and apologies again for the delay in start. Thank you so much, Gulshan, for joining
My
us,
pleasure. My pleasure.
and all of you for joining us today and spending your evening with us. It has been another
Yeah.
fabulous time of cutting chai, which
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Do let us know in the comments like how you enjoyed this whole thing. Yeah. And thank you for spending your Sunday with us.